I've got blue souls, cause I'm way gone, trying to find my way back home. Count my bones as in desert crumbs blown. I'm gonna turn all of my stones.
Rock bottom make a man and some pressure make a gemstone. Trying to put $1 to my name like Creflo. Niger boy, late to the game, it's in the blood flow. When I'm from the south, it's thick skin and tough bone. Big attitude through big lips with gusto. Trust no kings, that's why they tried to crush souls. But it's IGBO, when the dust blow, this old head be standing there. No silver, just gold. Crack no books on the hustle, I was born to grind. Yo, scared of your potential, I'm adorned with mine. 30 times around the sun, man, of course I shine. My legacy will not dwarf with time. And in my daughter's eyes, it's basic, I must not say quit. Every day sees a present like a Rob St. Nick. Walk a fine line between tenacious and patient. I can't slip, I'm fighting clocks and they can't win.
I've got bruised souls, cause I'm way gone, trying to find my way back home. Count my bones as in desert crumbs flow. I'm gonna turn all of my stones. I've got bruised souls, cause I'm way gone, trying to find my way back home. Who that soldier in the mirror? Oh, oh. I'm gonna turn all of my stones.
Impeccably I flow, hardest raps you know, breaking status quo, reaping what I sow, artistry like Van Gogh. Get it from my mama hip, so thick that I need tempo. Personality, spicy body banging like a bongo. Cause black women been it since Timbuktu since Pharaoh. Sponge rollers and hot combs, lips, cheeks and brow bones. If you ain't for the culture, then please stay out of my zone. These little dummy rappers could never grace my headphones. See, I'm from a place in space where ain't no storytelling, you just had to have been there. If you want the battle, ain't no problem, say where. I got so much experience, I can't even play fair. But I'ma keep evolving and growing and hurting feelings and showing. You need endurance to go in, I got mileage on this pen. I've been busy cause I've been out here schooling all these kids. Took 3 decades to have this glow up that I did.
I've got bruised souls, cause I'm way gone, trying to find my way back home. Count my bones as in desert crumbs flow. I'm gonna turn all of my stones. I've got bruised souls, cause I'm way gone, trying to find my way back home. Who that soldier in the mirror? Oh, oh. I'm gonna turn all of my stones. Turn all of my
Let's watch.
Don't get me back to good bullshit.
everyone, and welcome back to my channel. This is Lady Freedom here, coming at you with another raw narrative. It's so good to see you guys today, and I hope you all are having a wonderful Tuesday afternoon. I know that we usually do night court, but we are working in some more day shows, and today I have a special guest to bring up on the panel, so I'm going to do that right now. Usually I do a welcome to everybody that's coming in, but I'll just do a blanket welcome to everyone that's here. Thank you so much for joining, and please be respectful in the chat. Moderators, please allow for people to express themselves in the chat. If they say something rude, please take a screenshot of it, because I know they're proud to say it, and we'll save that. We'll take a picture and then go ahead and just delete the comment if it's anything that's rude towards myself or our guest. We got to keep it respectful, guys. You guys are all adults. It's 21 and over, and we need to be extremely respectful because of the content we are about to discuss. But without further ado, I'd love to bring Brandon up on the stage. Hey, Brandon, how are you?
Hi, I'm good.
Good.
How are you?
I'm doing great, thank you. I'm doing great. I'm excited to talk to you today. I know that people have been very excited to speak with you in terms of you knowing Devlin just on a deeper level. There's not a whole lot of people that we've had on the show that are willing to just come up and talk about Devlin, and so I appreciate you being here.
All right. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you. Am I good? Is the audio good, you guys?
I'm still trying to figure this out.
You're good. I can hear you. You're really
Okay.
good. I might need to turn off my air conditioner because sometimes
I can hear you fine. I can hear you fine.
Okay. Okay. Good. And I think everybody can hear us all right in the chat. Usually they'll tell us if we, sound off.
Okay.
But yeah, so I'm excited to have you up to talk today. I just kind of wanted to start out with how you know Devlin. Thank you, Jeff. Dude says our audio's fine.
Okay. Yeah, I was married to Gordon, which is Devlin's adopted brother. I was married to Gordon's stepdaughter, and Devlin was at family events, and he came to our house from time to time, and I just got to know him a little bit throughout the years of being married to her.
Yeah, can you tell me a little bit about what kind of a kid Devlin is, or how you know him to be? It's all your perspective, of course.
He was, I don't know, you'd say he wasn't an angry kid, but he would have a temper pretty quick if he didn't get his way. But for the most part, if you paid attention to him, he was a really good kid. And I always remember at the family events and stuff, him and Matt always button heads. Matt was always just trying to boss him around. But that was the only time he really would get upset that I ever seen. And he became a little bit much. That's why we got to know him pretty good. He'd come over to our house, and when he was living with Gordon and Tasha.
Yeah.
If he got to be too much for them, he'd come over and hang out, and that's just he he was a good kid, really. He just had his behavioral issues were from his being on the spectrum. I think that was the only issues he really had.
I was gonna say, I know he's autistic and he has some other issues that he deals with, but I know for the most part I've heard that he is a pretty decent kid as long as I think sometimes people know exactly how to push your buttons when they know you so well. So Matt, knowing him so well, probably knew how to push his buttons pretty quickly.
Yeah, they would get into screaming matches even at family events, like at a Christmas. they'd be screaming at each other. I remember going to breakfast one morning, and Matt came there, and they were just putting on a show in the restaurant. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, that had to be embarrassing. Well, and then do you know
And Matt just couldn't be just anything really. Matt just couldn't be the bigger person. He would just yell at him for everything. And Matt, I believe it's Matt's son was Jonathan, and Devlin and Jonathan were pretty close. It always seemed like, and the two of them together would always be in trouble.
Yeah, oh, that's cute though, kind of in a way, because they're like cousins, sort of.
Yeah,
kind of.
Yeah. You could tell they were like the black sheep of the family. Both of them were. It seemed like. I never really got to know Jonathan though.
And then is that Lorraine's son, or is that from a previous marriage? I never really kind of got to know.
I believe it's Lorraine's son. I don't think that anybody else would ever want to be with either one of them two.
Yeah, they're kind of two peas in a pod, aren't they? There's someone for everyone, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and some people will kind of, egg you on to do better, and some people will just, go down that path with you. So
yeah, some people like just to sit and idle, it seems like.
Yeah, well, and I know that John was the one that was supposedly taking Devlin to court on Tuesday, but then he disappeared on Monday, so he didn't make it.
Oh, really? I wondered whatever happened to him, if he was even still around anymore. I wasn't sure if Jonathan was even still around. I didn't know. Whatever happened with him.
Because I just wanted to hear it from him, because I have heard so many conflicting stories that, I consider everything, I take it all in, I process it, but then, I also find the inconsistencies in the statements, and so I'm well aware of
that's the same here.
Yeah,
same here.
I'm very well aware of what they've told me, and then what has changed about what they've told me, or hasn't changed either, because I look for consistencies as well.
Yeah, I know that.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I don't even know what I was going to say.
Well, I wanted to play this clip really fast, because this is a clip from a woman named Jessica, and it's not Devlin's mom. It's a Facebook lady, and she goes by Piper also. So I just kind of been tending to call her Piper to differentiate. But she is on Facebook under the name Jessica. She did an interview with Sabrina yesterday, and I didn't get a chance to watch it until after my live. And so I was looking to see what she said to this person, Piper, versus what she said on my panel. And this is a clip from it that I just wanted to share really quick.
Okay.
And let me just make sure I got the right one here.
He was angry to find out that he was adopted.
I'm not 100% sure, because it progressed more as he got older. Like, I feel like he knew that he was, adopted, because my grandma went to, all of his, field trips and stuff as he was growing up, and I feel like he knew, that they weren't really his parents because of the age difference between most kids' parents and his. But I'm not sure exactly what caused him to become so violent with them. But when he came to live with me, that was the reason that he came to live with me, was because he had put his hands on my grandma, and the cops told my grandparents that he was not allowed to be there alone with them, so that's why he came to live with me.
Okay, and how long did he live with you?
He lived with me for just under a year.
Okay, and was Devlin removed from Grandpa's care when he was 10? Was he not supposed to be around Grandpa?
So that was my grandpa was, being looked into about, sexual abuse, and everything on that was cleared, and that's how my grandparents got my nephew back.
Okay.
All right, Brandon. So I found that little clip that I kind of wanted to share with everyone.
Yeah. See, I don't recall. I know Devlin was removed when he was 10, but when he lived with Gordon, I ended up getting divorced from Gordon's stepdaughter, and that was in 2018, 19, and I know he was still living with Gordon then, and I heard the reason he moved out of Gordon's was because of he almost got Gordon's wife's nursing license taken away for reporting her for smacking him or something along them lines, some kind of abuse. And I don't know where he went from there. I didn't think he was able to go back to his grandparents until after he was 18. Or his parents, I guess, his adoptive parents.
Well, that's what my understanding was as well, because, but I will say that I talked to a lot of abuse victims myself. Just having this platform and the channel, the way that I run things here is more victim based. And so I hear a lot of people's stories, and people will send me their stories. And, a lot of times these people get away with hurting children. I mean, over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Access to children over and over and over again. I was, and God help me. I'm not trying to judge anybody, or say who gets to go to church or who doesn't. But if I was going to the church where Lorraine went for Easter, I wouldn't want my daughter around that environment just because of who's there.
Yeah. I agree.
That's just
for some reason I'm getting an echo back now.
Oh, you are. Do you have it up in the back, or is it on my end? Am I echoing?
I don't know. After you muted me for that video, now it's echoing from just my voice is echoing.
Oh, maybe. Do you have your YouTube turned up in the background or anything?
No.
All right, I was gonna say it's kind of like the radio, like the old radio station when you call in, you have to turn it down. You turn the volume down.
All right, it's not so bad now. It might have been where I set my phone. I don't know.
Okay, maybe that could be too. So, and I apologize for any audio issues too, guys. Okay, Jude says there's no echo though.
Okay.
But so, yeah, in that regard, I don't see them. If they did clear all of his charges, which
I was under the impression he died before that ever was cleared. I can't say for positive, but I never knew that anything was ever cleared. I wasn't comfortable. I was comfortable, but I didn't want my kids ever alone, because I know abuse victims re-abuse usually, and I was kind of concerned with that when my kids were living there with my ex-wife.
Sure. Well, and then to have so many RSOs in the family, and then to have the family be okay with that, I can tell that in Sabrina's voice when she was telling this Facebook person, I don't know what they call themselves, but she sounded remorseful in a very disingenuous way, in my opinion. When she was on my panel, it was different, and we'll do a whole comparison on that. But she was more self-righteous, like my grandfather didn't do anything, and now she's turning around telling this YouTuber. Oddly enough, I tried to keep it quiet until we were actually going to go live together, right? And oddly enough, the day before you come up here, she's spilling the beans.
See, when I made one comment on one of your posts one night, or on one of your lives, and all I said was "daddy" in quotation marks, and they spilled the beans without me even saying anything. I didn't say a word, and they started when they were trying to get me for slander and libel and all this other stuff, they kept threatening me with.
I know, and that's why
I didn't have to say a word. Like,
no, they'll tell right on themselves, and that's been a big thing. Well, I should say a common theme, that every time I talk to someone, I have more questions than I have answers. And it's not for lack of asking questions. It's just that, when I'm trying to pin that day down, no one wants to pin it down. And then we have such horrific abuse. In my opinion, it's worse than we could even imagine, even though we know some of it.
Yeah, it's way worse. Like I know about the STDs. I don't know if that's been brought up or not, but
Yeah, I kind of was backed against the wall one day and I just said, you don't get that from a toilet seat.
yeah,
And if
exactly.
Tamara would like to explain that to my chat, because I can't explain that because that's not possible. So I wanted her to
Yeah,
be able to, elaborate, uh,
yeah.
so to speak.
That's why the state police were involved with the whole situation, was because the doctor said that he had that, and Bill has the same exact thing. So
And I can't help but think about how that set Devlin up for his life of,
yeah,
dealing with that and, because that's not his fault. And then he has to deal with that wretched disease. I mean, and they can't just take accountability or say, we're really sorry. We took him for granted. Like I've never heard none of them. And that's including Jessica, because I understand that she wasn't in his life and she lives in Arizona and, there's not a lot you can do when you live states away. But none of them have ever said, I feel really guilty because I failed Devlin. Um,
yeah. As that whole family is not. I can't say the whole family. I'd have to say Gordon is the most normal one out of the whole family, and I thought he was in good hands when he was there. And it's a shame that didn't work out, because I think he would have had his head on straight and everything would have went pretty good.
Yeah, and it was just because of Devlin getting angry, and there was a
He had told a teacher or something that Gordon's wife had hit him or smacked him or spanked him or something. I don't even remember what the whole deal was, and I think I can get the details of it anymore just because I've talked on here, and I don't want to mess anything
yeah,
up with my being able to see my kids. So I don't want to even
yeah.
go into too much on that with my ex-wife. I try to steer clear of talking about it down with her.
I think it's just so difficult for everyone who didn't have involvement in it, who became involved because because they had to, you guys kind of had to band together for Devlin, and everybody was, aware of what was happening. And so, or, not what was happening when it was happening, but after the fact. And then, you all felt like you had to step in. Um, and that's all I said to Gordon, because I know he was upset with me and didn't want me to say anything about this. But I just felt like I was doing a disservice to Devlin. But I did thank him for, being there for Devlin, because I understand that, he and his wife seem like they're, yeah, just, decent people. And
Yeah,
um, with Devlin, do you think that sometimes he would do you think that gosh, I don't know how to put this, because with when people go through horrible situations, they don't trust people. So do you think that that might have been part of it, that he mistook like disciplining for abuse because he was so hyper vigilant to
I don't even think he was trying to get her in trouble when it got brought up. I don't totally know. I just think that he was just like told he got in trouble and got I don't even know if it was a spanking or he got smacked or something, or even if that happened, but it's just what was told. I don't get the whole point that Gordon and Tasha, they put posts on Facebook for their missing cat and can't put anything about Devlin, is one thing that really kind of gets to me.
Yeah, I mean, I've had the same experience, just looking over, the different ways that people had expressed Devlin's disappearance, and
Quit.
it is shocking.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is just from a family member, point of view. Like if your family member is missing,
Yeah.
you
That's
know,
why I don't. It doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't. They can put their differences aside. It seems like they would, and
well,
be
and
able
I'll
to
say this,
be there for
Sabrina's
him.
never shed a tear that I know of. And the only time that I've heard her shed a tear and where it sounded like she was genuinely crying was when she talked on the panel yesterday with that Jessica Piper person. And
Or when she stole the money
it
and
was
got
about
caught.
when she stole the money. That's what yeah, that's exactly when she broke down. Now she did not break down on my show not one time. Not once did she shed a
Yeah,
tear on the news
she was
clip. She
defensive.
did
She was
not.
defensive from what I heard on there.
Yeah, very defensive. And in my, it was partly, my doing also because I came at her pretty hard in the beginning of that live because I was upset about her making posts on Facebook about the GoFundMe when she stole the money, right? So it was kind of like shocking. That was another thing that shocked me, that she would bring attention to herself yet again, even though she was.
With a GoFundMe?
Yeah, so when I set up a GoFundMe for
Oh,
Jessica,
okay.
she went on the internet and was like, Trisha set up the GoFundMe for Jessica. And so in the beginning of that live, I told her, I said, "You're damn right I set it up for her because she needs to have something to get there." Or, once I realized that the family was so toxic, I was like, well, I wouldn't feel good sending her with her child to the area by herself at all. So I
Yeah,
was more gearing that towards a PI, but I mean, we kind of know now that there was a PI involved, but the family ran the PI off
yeah.
because
That and last time I talked to the PI, he said that I actually can look at it right here. It didn't make much sense to me the way he was acting. Even can you still hear me?
yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay, all right. I just
No, it's okay. I know it's weird if when you're on your phone on StreamYard, it shouldn't drop you, but if it does, I could just add you again. Oh, okay, Brandon, I think I lost you that time. Yeah, Chi says she was very defensive. I think a lot of it had to do with, you know, because I think we simmered it down for the most part, but I was not, this person Piper, she was in a different mindset altogether when she did the interview with Sabrina. So she was basically telling Sabrina, if there's anything that you want to clear your name about, so everybody knows and that sort of thing. I wasn't giving Sabrina a chance to clear her name. I was like, pretty upset that she would even say anything when she was the one that stole the money to begin with. Um, that's right, Cinderella. That's right. If you don't eat right, you're thirsty, you're not warm, can cause personality lows. And I assume if you're on the spectrum, it's got to be way worse. I agree with that. I think that that was not being considered. I don't think that people really um, in the family consider Devlin's feelings at all, let alone his different abilities. Yeah, I feel like the answer lies very close to home. That park. Thank you, Diane, for being here. And Diane, I have a feeling too that it could very well be a big answer if we were to find the girl that he was supposedly meeting at the park on Easter. He was extremely excited to meet this girl and had met her before, according to sources. So that's one thing. Sorry, guys. I'm just reading this really, really quick. Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. Thanks, Brandon. Sorry, I was just reading your text really quick. So that's interesting. You know, and I know. Did
Hold
you
on.
hear about? Yeah, sure.
It's echoing
So I
really
know
bad.
I am, or you can hear it echoing. Let me see if I can't. Here, let me do this.
Can you hear
Is
me
that
now?
a little bit better? Yeah. Am I still echoey, or can you still hear the feedback?
Can you hear me?
Yep, I can. Oh, okay. Chuchi says no echo. No echo, says hey Jude. It's just on your end. If you wanna leaving, oh, I know why that is, because you're doubly in here. Hold on. Okay, is that better?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
I don't know why it won't connect back to my headset.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say what happened was I think there was two of you in here, so I booted one and one out, and then yeah. So were you okay? So Chuchi says we could hear you both. Okay, good. So did you get a chance to hear yesterday where Sabrina had said that she would um take a lie detector test, and that they were working on trying to get a lie detector test done?
No, I didn't hear that.
Yeah, so that's the newest thing, I guess, is that they have agreed to take a polygraph. Um, I was trying to figure out if maybe Jessica would take a polygraph. And I was, I had talked with um, Tina yesterday because she was in the chat, and I've been working with her on getting some resources out to her and trying to figure out if we can, bring some things in, some people in to help with Devlin's case. But we got on that subject, and in my opinion, I think that would help a lot to identify who had involvement and who didn't. Um, because I have to say, just the actions and the statements aren't adding up to me, in my opinion.
Yeah. Has anybody ever seen any like screenshots of the call logs from that day?
I don't have any of theirs. No. Mm-mm. No, Jessica. See, and that's the reason why I was, hopeful that Jessica would move forward and do the right thing for Devlin, because she was sending me screenshots of everything, and I was sharing it out. But then she stopped at a certain point, and I really believe it's because she started reading back the text messages and realizing that she had a bigger part in this, even from Arizona.
And how come Matt originally his story was Devlin was his happy-go-lucky self, and then I heard yesterday that there was a pissing match.
Right. Yeah, that's been from the beginning, like that was said on Crime Time Buzz by Tamra that there was a pissing match, but then Matt came into the chat and it's, Devlin's really was so happy-go-lucky, his happy-go-lucky self
And
that day.
like I was saying before, Devlin and Matt were never happy-go-lucky together. So I know that that was a lie right there in itself, that he wasn't his happy-go-lucky self because he was never happy to talk to Matt. Never one time that I can recall.
Right. And why would Matt answer Sandra's phone? I've always had that question as well. And then, Sandra never did,
Yeah.
answer the phone or he was supposed to
I
call him
lost
back
track of it. I was on a different shift for a couple of days, so I lost track of the podcast, and I've just been hearing a bunch of new stuff lately, so I figured I must have missed something somewhere.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's been kind of fast moving because I had a lot of this information, but I had to put it all together, um, to show people, because, it's really tough, especially because a lot of people think to themselves, okay, well, Jessica couldn't have had anything to do with it if she's all the way in Arizona. But, the more that you find out about, the more I found out about Jessica, the more it made me wonder if she does have involvement, especially because she didn't all of a sudden want to share any more text messages. And so that was concerning.
Yeah.
Have
you still been talking to her at all, or no? She just doesn't want to talk no more?
Well, she didn't text me back after I asked her about the cancer thing. So I asked her, do you have leukemia? Yeah, because, Tamara was very fast to send me over 6 text messages and I shared them out. But they were basically of Jessica, Tammy, on the phone, back and forth, on text. And Tammy is telling Devlin things like, what Jessica's telling her, and then telling Jessica, well, he just called you a dumbass. And then Jessica's like, well, say that to my face. And it's like, who's the adult in the situation? So they were all ganging up on Devlin, but within those text messages, and this was from January of 2025. So within those text messages, Jessica said that she has leukemia and she doesn't know how to tell Devlin, because Bill passed away from cancer in 2023, and so Devlin was still upset about that. And there's even text messages where he would say, I'm going to go up to the church and sit and talk with Dad, which is incredibly sad knowing what we know. But I think Devlin was going through a lot, and then his mother making this story up. I mean, I've
go lay down. Go lay down.
Full of pictures where she's got all of her hair, and it's not
she never lost her hair.
No. So, and I mean, it's just really, it was something that once I exposed that, I knew it wasn't there was no turning back, right? It was the point of no return. But I did her the courtesy of asking her first. And when I did that, she said, what does that have to do with my son being missing and all of this stuff? Well,
got all defensive.
Yeah, I mean, you talked to her, that I'll just say this. Could you share your experience with me in talking with Jessica?
Talking with Jessica, I got a bunch of text messages. I talked to her on the phone one time, and she got all pissed off at me because she asked me for my PI's license number, so I gave it to her, and I asked her for hers in return, and she couldn't provide one, and she just got really defensive and all pissed off, and it was it was ridiculous. Then to come to find out, her PI wasn't even a PI, and which I kind of already knew.
Right, and that's why.
That Gianna Swanson.
Okay, thank you. I was gonna say, yeah. Okay, I know exactly who you're talking about. She told me that she's not a real PI. I tried to tell her, be careful of who you talk to, but there's only so much, like, I can't, I
And
can
you seen
only.
the messages I just sent you. That
Mhm.
really that threw me for a loop, because that PI wasn't like that at all, and then he just came up with that theory out of nowhere. I didn't get it. I don't know. Somebody told him to shut up and get back out of it. I'm pretty sure. Like, I don't know if it was the detectives or what. But at
Yeah.
first he said it was a family was so whacked he couldn't deal with them, because me and him spent hours out in the swamps where we got a lead that the body might have been moved. His body might have been moved is what they were trying to say, which was Will's ex had said that. And so I went out and searched that area, and it was just a wild goose chase pretty much. Got a bunch of ticks on us, and that was about it.
Oh man, I bet those woods are really thick. I
But
appreciate you going out and looking, though. I mean, and I just think that that's kind of what we need to do. But then again, you don't want anybody hurt if you don't know what locations to even, look in.
yeah, we just went and searched that area because it didn't make sense that that area was getting brought up, and so I figured that there might be onto something. So I went out there and we searched it a couple days, so we didn't find anything. And
Yeah,
then
and you would
the
think.
private investigator that I had was really into it, and then all of a sudden he just wasn't. Like, it was like, I know he went and sat down the road from their house, and then all of a sudden he couldn't deal with it no more.
Yeah, that's interesting. Because I've heard that from other people too, where it's been like, well, this PI was really, good and interested in the case, but then he was turned off. And I don't know if it's because, I mean, believe me, I've thought about it myself, being turned off from the case just because the family is so horrible. I mean, there's only a certain amount of, ridicule one can take who's trying to
Yeah,
help, So, and that's come from all sides. But then I think about how, if it's this bad for me, who's a well-adjusted adult at this point, how bad could it have been for this kid dealing with this day after day after, every time he turns
yeah,
around, he's being bullied by someone, whether it's in the town or,
yeah,
at home. But
yeah.
do you think that Devlin was violent with Sandra and Bill because he found out he was adopted, or do you think more of it was because of the sexual abuse? And I know that might sound like a dumb
I
question to most people.
I think it was a little bit of everything, honestly. And just being he did have a temper. I've seen his temper before, but it was always because he was antagonized. I never seen him just be mean for no reason.
Yeah.
It was always between him and Matt. That's the only time I really ever seen anything. It was always between him and Matt.
And I mean, that's one thing that I've heard across the board with Matt is that he would antagonize Devlin.
Matt, I feel like Matt has the same mentality as Devlin had. I think Devlin might have been smarter, honestly.
And that might have made Matt jealous or something that he
I
wasn't as.
I I don't think Matt's ever worked a day in his life that I can recall. I've never heard of him working anywhere, and I don't know.
Well, and now that you say that, I do recall Matt having some strange comments in my, comment section on the videos, and he was trying to act like, maybe like even even the email that I had, he was acting kind of like, a scholar type of a person that was using words that weren't really in his typical
Yeah,
vocabulary.
yeah,
Yeah, if that makes sense.
yeah,
Um, again, it was more or less trying to, take the heat off of him. Another big issue that I had with Matt was that he had said some things in the chat, and then he retracted them because Tamara jumped his ass for it, and went off on him for saying his
Yeah,
opinions, and then she ended up trying to be texting him, so it's like,
you seen the messages from Tamara to me, and I never even, like I said, never said anything but daddy. That's all I ever said. And then the text messages I got from that family were crazy, like trying to get me, saying they're going to go after me for libel and slander and all this other stuff, and I didn't even say anything. So
I know.
they just,
Well,
they're all, it seems like they're guilty right away. Like, that's the way it comes across to me.
yeah, and I noticed some people in the chat. I don't know how the Facebook thing works. Again, like I said, I'm kind of a little bit, off with the Facebook Live, but some of the chatters were telling Piper, "Hey, don't listen to what the family is saying, any of them." And I don't know if she was talking about just the Tates, but she did mention that she's local and knows the Tates. And I think a lot of people in the community think that they have something to do with it. I mean,
Yeah, I drive wrecker, and I've just been in the area, and I had a bunch of flyers in my truck, and just people that have rode in my truck and I've towed and stuff like that have even said it. So what do you think? And they don't know that I'm close with the whole thing,
sure.
and they just say the same thing. They think the family has something to do with it. I haven't heard one person say that they don't think the family has anything to do with it.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of people that I know of that have said that. The only person that I know that said that to me personally would be Kay Nicole. And she went to the bake sale, and interviewed Tamra, which I played the interview here. It was very short, but basically Tamra said, law enforcement said that we can't make him come home if he doesn't want to. And so Tamara has been pushing this narrative, in my opinion, about how the police think Devlin just ran away, but I don't think that she's far off from that. Just from my conversation with Detective Castle, which it's not like she told me anything, but it's just the way that the conversation went.
Yeah, they think that he ran away.
Yeah, I feel like they're more leaning towards that he ran away than that he actually, was abducted or hurt by the family, or because I've even considered he took his own life, because 20 days before he went missing, he posted on Facebook on his page that he couldn't take it anymore, that he loves everybody, but he can't take living with Tammy.
Yeah, I don't see that. I don't know. It's my opinion, but I don't see that. Yeah, I don't think he ran away, or sorry, I'm making a paper plate.
No, you're fine.
I don't see him running away or doing that to himself, honestly.
I mean, I think that, you can't hide your own body once you've, taken your own life. So that's the biggest thing to me that, stands out, that I don't think. I think that if he did that, we may have found him in the woods with all the searching that has been done.
Yeah.
And
it takes some coordination, and that's one thing that I don't think he could have did on his own.
I agree. And then if he left to even go, towards his mom's house, the only thing that I can think of you know, if he did try to leave on his own, you know, that he would have to either catch a public transportation, bus, plane, you know, or I mean, and then he would be on camera for all of that. And then if he got into an unknown vehicle, then somebody still somewhere out there knows about that, right? Like say his mom set him up a ride because, I mean, you know, she was trying to set him up with people locally as well, even as far back as 2024. You know, here, call this person that I used to be friends with, and GR, call, you know, this person. So, you know, I can't rule any of them out when none of them have been truthful.
Yeah. Another, what was I just gonna say? I'm lost for a minute. Damn it! I was gonna say something. I can't remember what it was now.
No, it's okay. And I will.
I'm trying to make lunch. I'm trying to make lunch at the same time. Sorry.
No worries. No worries. No, and I know you work really hard too. So I just appreciate you being here. I will say that another reason that I started wondering about that was because of the items that she added on to AJ's. It was supposed to be Christmas for AJ, and she added like a big crock pot.
Yeah. I still don't think that was anything to do with him. I think if anything, it was something that she could resell or something to do with one of her boyfriends, maybe.
True. Yeah.
There'd be some kind of trail. He didn't just disappear. There's no way. He loved to eat. That's one thing he did do. He loved to eat, and if he had a bridge card, it was going to be getting used.
Right.
Because nobody in the family had enough money to help him to get that far or anything like that, so he would have had to use it.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, do you know how he bought the charge box before he went missing? Because apparently he bought a charge box and somebody gave him money to do that with.
That's the first I've heard about it. I wonder if it was somebody from the church. That's the first time I've heard about that at all.
Same thing. Same here. I've never, saw it on anywhere.
Where'd that information come from?
Well, Piper went to the Family Dollar, and the guy behind the counter was saying that, yeah, I do know Devlin, and he came in the day before he went missing, and he bought a charge box. And then Sabrina confirmed it the next day because she did. Was it like
a battery pack or like a small little charge box that your cord plugs into?
I think it was like it wasn't like the adapter. It was like a charger because Matt had mentioned that he and Sandra had gave him a portable charger. Yeah, hey Jude, a portable charger, and that it had stopped working, which, you know, he's got the worst luck with electronics unless he gets mad and breaks it. Or they get mad and broke it, because I mean, he can't keep anything electronic that works. I mean, but yeah, he apparently bought that, but you know, there's also the video of him at Carl's saying that his phone's not working, so I don't know why he would buy a charger for a phone that, you know, blacks out the screen. And
the video at Bob's, you mean?
Mm-hmm.
You said Carl's. I'm like, has anybody seen a video from Carl's?
Bob's. I'm sorry, not video. No, and that's another thing, Brandon. Oh Lord, I just opened up a can of worms and didn't mean to. Maybe that was a Freudian slip or something. Because yeah, I mean, the camera footage at Carl's is
it's missing. Like,
yeah,
like you'd think that would be the video that the news would have, like the last seen video, like in any other case. Wouldn't you think that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why they wouldn't show it to the public at this point. Yeah, because usually I reference another case, the Riley Strain case, a kid who was out drinking with his fraternity brothers down on the Strip in Nashville, Tennessee. And, you know, you could literally follow him through downtown Nashville on surveillance cameras. And the fact that we only have this one, bit of footage and they haven't showed it is curious to me.
Yeah, because it's the only information I've heard is from the family that said there was even footage there.
That's the only source I have heard it from. One other source said that they know someone who did see it, but everyone else is kind of really skeptical about it. And I'm just the kind of person where I want to see it to believe it. And it's not that I don't believe things, but I have to try to keep my wits about myself in that regard. Because people can say whatever,
And Sabrina's timeline has changed too, with her saying that she was there until 10:30 when her kid got picked up. That's a lie, because she told me she was gone at 7:28 in the morning and Devlin was leaving at the same time.
Yeah, she told me that she left shortly after Devlin too, and then later on when I confirmed it with Joe, whether he picked up his son at the time that she said on my podcast, he said no. He said I always pick him up between 10 and 11.
Yeah, so I don't get why she's lying there.
I mean, and that's what the hardest thing is with the whole entire group, is that when you really they want to talk about everything that happened, eons ago, and then months before that they could remember every single detail, but when you try to pin them down to what the day that Devlin went missing, or even Easter Sunday, they don't want to talk about it. They don't want to confirm, and that's a major problem, right? Because if you and I didn't have nothing to do with anything, then we would just tell the story like, yeah, I went to this place on Easter. I mean, Easter Sunday is a very memorable holiday day, right? It's not just another
and
Sunday.
He didn't talk to Sandra at all on Easter Sunday? Or was he just seen her? Was she at the church?
So apparently Lorraine and Sandra went to the church and Devlin walked that day, according to the family. And so he met them up there, but then whenever I spoke to the pastor, she said that, Devlin ate with them and not with, it wasn't like they all ate together. It was more so like a smaller group of them ate at the table. And then she said that Devlin was super excited to meet a girlfriend at church. She said, I made him an Easter basket, which she's, from my experience, a sweetheart. And she, sent him on his way to go meet his girlfriend. And, he was full, ate, he was happy. And then he went over to another church member's house before that, but before heading over to Swifty's Park, and that's where he was supposed to meet the girlfriend. So after that, it's a little bit hazy. He did call Brittany. He did call her and leave her a voicemail.
Joe's
and
ex,
she did,
or Joe's girlfriend or whatever.
Yeah, Joe's girlfriend. Yeah. And she was supposed to take Devlin in October of 24, but she decided not to because of the violence that happened with Sandra. So she told Devlin because of that record, he can't stay there, but they were obviously friends and kept in touch. And she told me that when she tried to reach back out to Devlin on Easter Sunday after she got back from her family's house, she missed his call and he left her a voicemail, that his phone was going to voicemail continuously after that. Like, she never did get a hold of him.
Huh. Yeah. I don't know who that is. I don't know her. I don't know Joe either.
Yeah, well, and then Sabrina
I barely know Sabrina. I've only met her. I've only seen her in person one time.
Yeah. No, that was at the bake sale.
That was the second time I seen her, but the first time was when she brought me the flyers. I did see her 2 times then.
Okay, so yeah, oh, she brought you some flyers. Okay, yeah, because
Yeah.
you were involved in like helping out with that because obviously your family. I mean, um, can you tell me a little bit
I didn't
about?
necessarily help. I didn't necessarily help out with that at all. I was there, and I made a couple donations at different times, but it's yeah, it's way more than I don't think their numbers add up. I really don't, but that's all I need to say about that. Is
Yeah, I
their numbers
know.
don't add
It's
up.
I know, and that's it's something that I know it's there's way more money that was made on that deal than will ever be said. And then of course I have to go back to, the only time there was emotion shown was about that.
Yeah.
And never about Devlin.
Yeah, all of a sudden she had money to fix her truck and get it towed and stuff. She wanted me to come tow it and work on it and all this other stuff. As soon as the bake sale was over, it was no, thank you. I didn't even get involved with that.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't blame you one bit on that. And um so on Monday, do you know of any surveillance that Devlin was caught on in the area?
He wasn't caught on it, but I know where he normally would have been caught on it. Is a friend of mine, and he said that he never walked by that day because he'd seen him multiple days in the past, and he knew who Devlin was from just the passing by. And his dad lives down there, and he lives right next door. And on neither one of their cameras was Devlin ever on there. And they got camera. I know
Yeah.
he has a camera right at the end of his driveway, so he knows when people pull in because his house is kind of back set from the garage, so he knows when somebody pulls in, he can answer his door. And he never walked by that day.
See, and that's concerning just because usually Devlin would take familiar routes, or he would take the same route, I should say, not even a familiar route, but typically the same route.
Yeah.
And that would have been on the camera that is or that would have been on his way to town, like the shortcut, not around like how it shows you on Google Maps, like around Hatfield, but
Yeah, it would have been the shortcut because he always cut through the little trail through the woods and then took Tupper Lake Street instead of taking the other way around, which would be on, I can't remember the name of the road, but yeah, it's quite a bit farther of a walk to go the other way. It would have took him a couple hours probably.
yeah, it would have. Well, and then another thing that was said to Piper when she went over to oh gosh, was it I think it would have been I know the Family Dollar, they talked about the charge box, but then also one of the places that she stopped at said that he talked to or excuse me, she talked to one of the guys that the manager said that she saw Devlin at 8 o'clock behind Family Dollar in the dumpsters. And that's something that Tammy had told me as well.
That he went there?
Yeah, that he went there first.
He would have been hustling if he would have made it to the dumpsters to do anything there. And then to Carl's from Family Dollar to Carl's is all of 15-minute walk. And to be in the store and in the checkout line that fast, I that's hard to believe. It's probably, that's what I'm it's at least a 40-minute walk hustling straight from their house to Carl's.
Right. And then he would have had to go to Family Dollar, which is a little bit further down.
Yeah, a little bit. Yep.
And that's why I was always like in the beginning, I was thinking, okay, maybe he did walk the way around Tupper Lake because that would have brought him closer to the Family Dollar than walking up Tupper Heights.
Yeah, but
Um,
that wouldn't have, he wouldn't have made it there by that time.
I don't think so either. And then another discrepancy is that Life 360 ping, because Matt was saying that they were that he talked to him from 9 o'clock till 9:30 while he was charging his phone at the laundromat.
I heard they had a Life 360 ping of him on the railroad tracks.
See, now is that next to the sewer treatment plant?
I believe so.
Okay, so I wonder if that's the same one that Tammy's referring to.
I think, Backwoods Search and Rescue is the one that told me that. I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure that's who it was.
Yeah.
They said there was a Life 360 ping on the railroad tracks or something.
And I know that was a topic too of conversation when it came.
And you can't legally search the railroad tracks either without permission. That's a big that's a felony, or I know it's something to do with like you can get in trouble for terrorism is what I've heard.
Oh, really?
Yeah, for searching railroad tracks without permission because they've got to be able to shut it
Go to the
down.
village
What's
and
that?
ask, would they have to go to the village and ask for permission there?
No, the railroad company. I've looked into it a little bit. Yeah, you have to look into the railroad. You have to get a hold of the railroad company, a CSX or whatever it is.
Oh, that's interesting. See, I didn't realize that. And, and see, this is
Yeah,
why
you're not
I
allowed
say,
to search them at all.
yeah, see, Brandon, this is why I just stay in my own lane and tell the story because I would be in big trouble and not even know I'm breaking the law.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense that it does make sense that it's illegal, I guess, because somebody gets hit and killed or a derailment or anything like that.
Definitely, it's dangerous. It's very much so. Or if someone leaves something on the tracks, and I mean, I don't know.
That was one theory that people had for a minute was maybe he tried hopping on the train and ended up somewhere, but you'd think he would have been found by now, or there had been some kind of scent. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's so good with directions. I mean, that's one thing I just can't see.
He remembers everything. That's what he remembers everything. So he like if he goes somewhere one time, he knows how to get there again. And he knows every street that you turn on.
Yeah.
And more than likely knows everybody that lives on the street.
And that's the thing. So many people knew him and, would see him walking past their house or just, people knew of him because he was out all the time. That's why it's so odd that day he was like not seen anymore. And then, what do you think of the phone pinging in the same location that Sabrina led the police to?
Yeah, that doesn't make sense at all either because he said just out of nowhere she just mentions that he has a friend named Joni in the park, and that was his parapro. Like it wasn't necessarily like a friend to hang out with. It doesn't seem like it would be. I don't know if anybody's talked to her at all.
I haven't reached out to her just because I just felt like she was set up by Sabrina. I mean, if I'm being just completely honest. And so
I feel the same way.
Yeah. I just almost felt like I'm sure she's got enough, flack or whatever. And I mean,
because that's what Sabrina told me, that Joni Sowers was a person of interest because the cops knocked on her door and she didn't answer it, but then called them and asked why they were there. So they knew that she was home. That's not necessarily, she's seen them on their Ring camera. You don't have to be home to see them on your Ring camera.
Exactly. Well, and I also thought maybe Joni was helping him with some GED prep because there was some talk of that in the beginning. Um,
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think that. I don't know. He could have honestly, obviously, was in contact with a lot of people, but I just don't find that to be a lead on anything really.
no, and that's where, yeah, I mean, that's where I kind of led off to it because it was like, well, I mean, it just seems like she was kind of put in the middle, you know?
Yeah, for no reason. The
So,
whole
but I
situation
mean,
with
I would be more
the
than
whole
well,
situation
I'd
with
be,
her out looking. What's that?
oh no, I was just gonna say I'd be more than willing to talk with her, but
Yeah. Do you know her last name?
Sowers.
Okay, I didn't know if you knew. I was gonna say yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I know she was kind of a little bit on the Facebook, posts and stuff like that. And to the best of my knowledge, Tamara talked to her. Um,
Oh, she did talk to her.
yeah, yeah. And apparently, Sabrina had gone, door to door in the trailer park, kind of looking for Devlin. Um,
No, she didn't. Because
that's
everybody was told not to go in the trailer park by the police.
sure
In the very
because they're
beginning, nobody was allowed to go in the trailer park, and I don't think she ever went there because the trailer park didn't want anybody in there either. I happen to drive Wrecker, so I get in there, and I talked to a couple people in there when I pick up cars, and they say that they had seen him around, but never necessarily in the park.
Do you believe the story about the woman who saw Devlin and was petting his dog? Or excuse
Where's
me,
she at?
petting her dog.
Where's she at?
Supposedly she was in front of the trailer park, or out near the trailer
I'm just
park.
talking like now. Who is she? Where is she?
Oh, yeah, I know. That's the thing. I mean, there's been so many people, like even there was one person online that said she, or said that they saw Devlin at the bus barn at 8:30 that morning.
Yeah.
And when the
Who was
police
that?
came
Where
out
are
and
they?
made their statement, they said 8:21 a.m. that he left his house. So that would make more sense than him being at Carl's at 8:21. But then that screws up the entire timeline.
Yeah. It's such a mess.
So-
I think I'm going to go to Carl's and just talk to the manager, talk to somebody. I don't know who else has for sure went there, but hey, you've talked to the detective, haven't you?
Yeah, I talked to Detective Castle and she just said she wasn't going to do any updates. I was like, any chance that you guys are going to release that footage? And she's like, no.
Really?
So, yeah.
Yeah. If they're not looking into it anymore, then everything should be available through FOIA. So I'll apply for that today. I'll submit a request for that today.
Yeah, we have a FOIA that's coming in. It's from the Michigan State Police, but they said
That
it's not going
won't.
to be ready until February 2nd, or
And
I'm sorry, February 6th, I believe.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, and this is something that's been requested.
They have a time. They have a
I was in
timeline that they have to
Tennessee.
do it within.
Yeah,
I've got some pretty big FOIA requests, and I've got them within a month.
yeah, I don't know what is taking so long
And
on
Michigan
that.
State Police. That's the thing is Michigan State Police aren't involved with this case that I know of.
Not that I know of either. They're the only
Then what?
jurisdiction is Ionia County.
So what are they going to come up with? That's interesting.
Yeah, I mean that's a good question. I don't know. Because, and like I said, I didn't think the FOIA would take this long to come, to come in.
Well, technically, they have to request an extension from you.
So that might have been the paper that we got back.
Yeah. I just applied for one a couple weeks ago, and they requested an extension, but then didn't even use the extension. They sent me it over within like 4 days. The last one I requested. I'll look into that today.
Thank you. I appreciate
But
that.
I'll do it through the sheriff's department though. Because you can get a FOIA from anywhere. You can get a FOIA at the clerk's office. You can get one like in this. All going to have different stuff in it.
Yeah, that's the thing. They all have different. Yeah.
But the Michigan State Police, I don't see really having anything unless it's just the audio from the dispatch, which I already have all that.
I wonder if it has.
I gave you that, didn't I? I gave you the audio from the dispatch, didn't I?
Yes, from the scanner. Yeah. I played that, and see, that's the only way that I know that, what time exactly, that Sabrina made the call. And then also she said that they were calling, the hospitals and everything, and again, like, that timing doesn't add up either. As well as whenever I had her on the panel, she was talking about how Devlin never came home early enough for dinner, and then she turns around and says, that he would always be home between 6 and 8, things like that.
I want to see some call logs.
Yes, exactly.
If they didn't delete their call logs from that day, which that'd be suspicious right there if they did, then they should be able to provide them. All of them. Bill, all of them. Matt, everybody.
Yeah, and then this one says it appears that the request has a current due date of 2/3/26. So yeah, it's the 3rd, not the 6th, but yeah, golly, I didn't think it was gonna take that long at all, Now I have one more clip I wanted to share too, Brandon. So just bear with me on this. I'm just going to pull it in.
Okay.
And this is about the day that Devlin went missing and Sabrina talking about her whereabouts.
The lady that, the old lady that seen him and he pet her dog?
No.
No.
That was at the trailer park.
That was at the trailer park. What time was that? Do you know what time that was?
I want to say she said 2:30, 3 o'clock.
Okay.
And she said that he had gotten a phone call and headed towards Sunoco, but even Sunoco didn't have him on camera at all on Monday. The only thing that they could find was on Sunday when he bought the charge box.
When he bought the charge box, and is that the last transaction on his account?
As far as I know.
And then what were you guys doing the day that Devlin went missing?
When Devlin came up missing, so after he left the house at 7:30, my son's dad came and picked him up. That was around 10:30ish. And then me and my boyfriend went to Sunfield and we're doing an odd job for a woman until mid-afternoon. And then we came home and my boyfriend was supposed to start work that night, but when Devlin didn't come home, I had to use his vehicle to go into town to find Devlin.
Okay.
So he didn't start work.
And did the detective, I just gotta ask, did the detective verify that with the person that you were doing the odd job with, that your time was occupied?
No, not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
I don't remember giving him her name, but
okay.
I could have.
Okay. I'm trying to think.
Okay, so, Sabrina there is saying now that, her and Will were out at the Sunfield job, but that they didn't leave till after 10:30.
Yeah, that's not what I've heard, but
not what she said on my panel.
Yeah. And she said
I find it interesting
because she told me, I even asked her, I said, what kind of odd job were you doing before dark or before daylight? Because at that time of the year, it's still pretty dark out. Like, and she never responded to that. And that was when she started lying to me about she didn't know Devlin's bio mom's name. She told me she couldn't remember what her name was. And I told her, I said I'd drive all day long, so I was going to do a little bit of investigating when I had a chance. And then a couple minutes later, she sent me her name. She's like, I honestly couldn't remember it.
Right. And something like that's always an issue for me when it's something that's not a big deal that somebody lies about when she knows dang well what Devlin's bio mom's name is. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, especially after all the back and forth with the text messages and things like that. Jessica was absolutely working with the Taits in, co-parenting Devlin in certain aspects, and then would turn around and completely, for lack of a better word, and excuse my French, but mind fuck this kid. And he's like, doesn't know who to turn to.
Exactly.
It's sad. It's so sad to me, like how Devlin must have felt like every day just having to go back to that house. But then he's also calling his mom because he thinks that he might be able to trust her, but can't trust her because, I mean, there had to have been some ulterior motive to get.
Them saying his age was like that of a 7 to 12-year-old is way off. The kid was way smarter than that.
Well, it's funny you say that because Sabrina did mention that too. She said I put a younger age and mentality for Devlin on the flyers and on the signage because that they had made.
For what reason?
I suppose it was to make the public want to look for him because they were thinking that if they didn't look, if they knew that he was an adult and everything, that people might not look for him.
I guess I could see that, but
so that's when she admitted that, I was pretty much I mean, I was shocked because like I said, that's the first time I ever heard her mention that or take responsibility for that, because when Tamara came up on Crime Time Buzz, she was like, well, you guys got this so wrong. But if Sabrina was the one that did that, I mean, that's another, I mean, people are like red flag in the chat. Those are the big red flags, right? I mean, just.
And then their interview with the news was the most fake thing I've ever seen. That's
oh, big time.
That's so ridiculous.
Yeah, when I first got into this case, I looked at those first. And then I went back and watched, Crime Time Buzz and Mr. E, because those are the two that I know of that covered Devlin's case. But then as I was going through, I was seeing a lot of people just kind of that did make a video about his case that were just kind of regurgitating whatever was on the missing flyer. One of the big red flags for me was like all of Devlin's diseases that he had.
Another thing too is Sabrina was trying to set up a search party at Sessions Lake, but was telling everybody else not to worry about searching the lakes because he was afraid of water. And then I didn't realize where Sessions Lake was until 3 months ago. I had to go there to pick up a DNR truck. And that's 17 miles or something like that from their house. And they wanted to go search there.
That was one of the first places that she set a search up, wasn't it?
Yeah. The only place I know of that she ever set a search up.
I wonder what would prompt her to do that.
I don't know. It's almost like she wanted to plan a beach day for everybody.
Right.
And I never understood why she said Sessions Lake, but didn't want anybody to search the lakes in Laco, which I honestly don't think he's in water anywhere at all. Just because
Oh, really?
if he was, he'd have to be weighted and purposely put there, and you'd think someone would have seen something.
Yeah, and
And
even last night when I was looking into the case with Sarah Boone, she put her boyfriend, or he got into the suitcase and she zipped him up. But that guy was only like 5'3" and 103 pounds. So I was like, oh, well, that's a big
yeah,
difference, because I'm like, well, he's a grown man. He fit in the suitcase. But then again, when I looked at his stats, I'm like, well, there's no way.
yeah. Devlin was a big
You
boy,
know,
really.
I agree. Yeah, and even he looks like he lost quite a bit of weight, like in the months leading up to him disappearing.
He does. And
Um,
when I first heard he was missing too, was like I just got out of the shower and was going on a call when I heard that call come in on the scanner,
mhm.
and I didn't even realize it was Devlin that they were talking about because I had lost track of him for the last year or two, well, probably actually closer to 5 years. And then I heard that, and then the next morning is when I realized who it was, and the whole thing before I even knew it was Devlin didn't make any sense. The scanner call didn't make sense. None of it did. And I thought something was suspicious about it. And I was starting to pay attention to it a little bit, and then the next morning they were talking all about it, and I realized who it was. It just so even without knowing the family, I still thought it was suspicious to begin with. Something wasn't right.
Yeah, I mean, and I just think that the elements of abuse are too glaring to ignore. Um, just in terms of, I mean, there's just zero accountability too. If you ask Sabrina, do you think that Devlin's ever been abused? She said no, unequivocally. Like it's not even like a thought in her mind. But then again, when you grow up in that type of an environment, you might not recognize abuse if you're still in it, right? Is my way of thinking.
Yeah. I never looked into it. Are you that STD that he had?
Hmm.
Do you know if that transfers through birth?
Um,
No, I don't think it would
I
really,
know
because
like the herpes
yeah,
do. Like, yeah, I mean, because
I was just wondering what as much as he looks like Bill.
I mean, I think he looks like Bill so much that either he's this is terrible.
Hmm.
Either he's Tim's child, or he's Bill's child, as far as I could. I mean, even the other night when I was
That's what I
doing
was getting at.
research, I mean, I looked at a picture and it was one that was like where Bill and Devlin were standing. It's on my thumbnail. Um,
Yeah,
it's just an uncanny.
that's what I was getting at. That's what I was wondering.
Yeah, it's an uncanny
That's what I was getting
resemblance.
at. It's just my
Yeah,
opinion, though.
and then just knowing how much all of that, all the abuse that was in the household. And then do you know anything about Tim, like why he hasn't come forward, why he hasn't?
I don't. I just know that he was into drugs big time. That's all I ever heard about him. And him and Jessica were into drugs. That's why they lost Devlin, is what I was told a long time ago.
Oh, I gotcha. I, went back and forth with that because there was a time where in the beginning I talked to Jessica quite frequently. Um, Oh, I got one for you. Hey, Jude, but the only thing is that it's not because
It's a stump.
again, this is this is my best version of it for now. Because Jessica told me that Adam is his father, so I couldn't really argue that in the beginning, but the more research I was doing, the more you look at Devlin and Bill, the more you look at,
Do you have a picture of Eddie though?
Jessica, I don't have a picture of Eddie. I don't. I've seen one
I think
before.
it's a spitting image too.
Really. And see, could you tell me what Jessica told
Yeah,
you about Eddie? And I'll tell you what she told me. Because it's different.
she
It's night and day.
yeah, she said that she didn't think that it could be Eddie's because she was with Adam at the time, but sleeping with Eddie, I don't remember exactly her exact words on that. I think I have the messages still. I'd have to look. But she's the one that sent me the picture of Eddie and asked what I thought. So she is denying that she slept with him, and that's a lie right there because she told me that she did.
Yeah, see, she told me that her sister, which is Nichelle, not Michelle with an M, but Nichelle with an N, was who Eddie was with. And I said, "Well, do you guys look alike?" And maybe somebody around town seen him, seen Ed and your sister together and thought it was you. And she sent me a picture of Nichelle, and they don't look alike. I mean,
Yeah,
somewhat, but
that's a lie because
not
unless she was lying to me, but she's the one that brought it
well.
up.
I think she was probably being truthful with you and lying to me.
She was trying
Um,
to say that Eddie was saying that it was his kid, and
yeah.
wanted to know what I thought.
Yeah, and I mean, he
She
was
completely
saying
quit
all
talking to
over.
me though. As soon as I asked
Well,
what the
probably,
PI's number, as soon as I asked what the PI's number was, she quit talking to me.
yeah, the fake one,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Well, and that was another issue that I had with Jessica is that she was going and I don't know if you're familiar with Candace May, but she was having readings with her, and Candace May was telling her um, just a lot of information that was, from the very beginning was out in public knowledge. Um, and then this Dakota girl, Candace May
come on,
went and
girl.
picked her up.
Sorry.
Dakota Robinson. She's a younger girl. Um, she went and picked her up, and they did a reading for Jessica together, saying, that she was sitting in the same spot as, that Dakota would go to the laundromat, sit in the same spot as Devlin and get weird vibes and telling Jessica all this stuff. And I told her, I said, it sounds like they're yanking your chain, I
Yeah,
mean,
when they drew a picture and it had that greenhouse that looks identical, that's right next to the laundromat. I think I
yes,
remember. Yeah, it's like somebody that drove. It's what I was saying to you the other day too. It's somebody that knows the case. They can tell everybody what they want to hear or what they think they need to hear to make them believe them. It's I don't know that stuff. I don't get into that too much, but everybody has their own
yeah,
opinion. Oh shit! Just a second.
yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna have to let you go.
No,
I'm
no,
just
no.
I just left my key on in my truck and my headlights, and
Oh, no
oh
worries. No worries. I appreciate you coming up here. And, if you ever want to come back up, Brandon, feel free, we're gonna find him. I don't think we're too far away.
yeah, I don't either. Okay, thanks for having me.
All right. Thanks a lot. You're welcome. All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, guys. So let me move myself over here because Devlin's been missing for 6 months, or excuse me, for 8 months coming up here. So I just want to cover that up just in case, like, there's some new people in here. So thanks, me and you, and thank you guys for being so kind to our guest. Really appreciate Brandon taking the time with us to come up here and talk. I don't think that she knows who the father is, Lisa, and unequivocally, Jessica told me that she did not sleep with Ed Mansfield, but Ed Mansfield was very vocal on Facebook saying, Devlin's my son, Devlin's my son. Um, Not a lot of people, hey Detroit, not a lot of people are going to do that if they don't really believe that that's their son, you know? So it's a very wild story, right? And then, like I said, I'm still processing through everything that that lady Piper, and again, her name is Jessica. Let me link her Facebook so you guys can see her. I believe I went and followed yesterday. Okay, I didn't want to say it wrong. Jessica Nevis Coleman, also known as Piper, on Facebook. Sorry, guys. And let me link the one that we played. Or here, you know what? I'll just send her whole page down there. Sorry, guys. I want to make sure I get it. So yeah, hopefully this will be good. And that was another interview that was done with yeah, there we go. Her link here. With Sabrina, which was different, right? Which was a lot different. Thank you. Thank you so much, Chuchi. Let me take a look. Holly. Holly, you're so funny. I love you. just I just got the text. Okay, so yeah, all right. Oh, but see, this is gonna be now, is this for uh GW, right? Is a little bit different from the herpes. I guess I could say herpes on here if I don't add the H. Um, but it's just a little bit different. Although it's something that doesn't go away, right? It's not like they can give you any type of treatment in order for that to, go away or get cleared up. It's absolutely terrible. Yeah, he had the Gen W's. Um, you know, and that's how the doctors were able to pinpoint who was hurting Devlin, is because of that. Which is extremely sad. Um, it's heartbreaking. He, is a handsome kid, and having to deal with that. I can't even imagine, right? Um, it's bad enough if you have that happen because, oh, the herp. Thank you. Thank you. Hey, Jude. Yeah. Um, yeah, he was me and you. He was by his adopted father, Bill Tait. Yeah, and that's why I had our special guest up here today, because um he was actually married to Gordon Tate's daughter, who or excuse me, stepdaughter, who was involved in the family at this time. So that's why I really appreciated, him giving us some insight into Devlin. I think a lot of the anger issues, a lot of the violent issues that they're trying to blame on Devlin coming to the realization that he was adopted is probably not correct. So just because I know you guys, some of you are just coming in a little bit later here, I'm going to play this clip again. And again, this is credit to Jessica, Nevis, Coleman, Piper. There we go.
He was angry to find out that he was adopted.
I'm not 100% sure because it progressed more as he got older. Like, I feel like he knew that he was, adopted because my grandma went to, all of his, field trips and stuff as he was growing up, and I feel like he knew, that they weren't really his parents because of the age difference between most kids' parents and his. But I'm not sure exactly what caused him to become so violent with them. But when he came to live with me, that was the reason that he came to live with me, was because he had put his hands on my grandma, and the cops told my grandparents that he was not allowed to be there alone with them, so that's why he came to live with me.
Okay, and how long did he live with you?
He lived with me for just under a year.
Okay, and was Devlin removed from Grandpa's care when he was 10? And was he not supposed to be around Grandpa?
So that was my grandpa was, being looked into about, sexual abuse, and everything on that was cleared, and that's how my grandparents got my nephew back.
Okay.
All right, guys. So she tells Piper something completely different than what she told me, right? She said that was all a lie, and I never asked Sabrina. I was going to ask her, but she offered the information up before I could ask her. So, I know, Paige, I know it is really confusing, and I appreciate you guys bearing with me on Devlin's story because it is confusing. We have this family tree and no one wants to be, forthright about it. Devlin was adopted by Bill Tait and Sandra Tait. His biological mother is Jessica Peckham. His father is unknown, but this is a possible father, and Timothy Hatfield is a possible father. So we have Adam and Timothy. We were just talking about Ed Mansfield because Jessica had told Brandon, who was just up on the panel, that, there was a possibility that Ed could be the father, but she told me that there was no way that he could be the father, right? So the stories are changing, and, it could be because of self-preservation, embarrassment. Some of those things could come into play, and that could be a reason why, Jessica's not wanting to be truthful with me. And that's okay. It's not a reason to be upset, but it's just something to, take pause and say, okay, Devlin really had a tough time. In this family that, I think that should probably be the main focus. But I am curious as to why Jessica is so adamant about saying that one person's his father over the other. And then you see the uncanny resemblance to Devlin with Bill. And yes, Keys from the Crypt. Yeah, he was. And, pretty much everyone has admitted it without admitting it. It's a very defensive admission. Even going so far as to say that Devlin, got the STD from a toilet seat, which is obviously not possible. If we went into a public restroom after somebody that had that, then we would all there would be a huge public safety concern, right? But it is caused from, contact. It's very heartbreaking, Keys. It is. It is. Um, that had to really confuse Devlin, especially since he loved his grandfather. Lisa, I know. I know. Um, like I said, this kid was in a um, under continual psychological abuse, mental abuse, physical abuse, you name it, he endured it. I think it's important to understand that. I know that some people don't think it's important. I do. I think it's very important. I think it's important to Devlin's story. I think it's important for people to understand what Devlin went through and why many, many people think that the family had something to do with it. And everyone did fail him, me and you. Everybody failed him. Um, in one capacity or another. I think other family members were trying really hard, but then again, it was tough because, Devlin had a lot of issues that he was dealing with internally and then, externally as well. There's a lot being hidden, Paige. There is. And the more public pressure that we're seeing, like I said, I have not heard anything about whether Jessica is willing to take her polygraph test. I have asked someone close to her about that too. And all I can say is, if Sabrina, Will, and Tamra take the polygraph test, that will just leave one more person to rule out in the family. Matt would be a good one too. But the closest people, I don't see a problem in that. I am curious as to why the detective didn't check out Sabrina and Will's alibi, but that might be because they have more information than we do. Which they do have more information, no doubt. But it also may be why they decided not to check out their alibi. So I have to consider that as well. Lisa says, when you're a child, you mistake abuse for love. You do, Lisa. And that's what I was wondering, if maybe, Devlin was mistaking discipline for abuse, when it came to, living with Gordon and his wife and things like that. But then I also can understand why people might think that, Devlin would want to go back to Sandra's, right? For example, Devlin would want to go back to Sandra's because he loved his adoptive family. He called Sandra all the time. But I think, like Lisa's saying here, when you're a child, you mistake abuse for love. And then you go on to be in other relationships that are not so healthy. The people that treat you like garbage, but you stick with them anyway because that's all you know is to be treated like garbage. Adoption could be a major trauma no matter what age they are adopted at. I agree with that, Cece. And I think there's a lot to be said about when Devlin was realizing that his mom, Sandra, was more of like a grandma, right? Especially if she was at school functions and things like that. She looks very, very much older, right? As a grandma. And so people might, how kids can be. Kids will point it out, that old lady can't be your mom, that's your grandma, kind of a thing, right? Just because kids are like that, they're very matter of fact. And that could have come into play where Devlin might have been, being teased about that, or people saying it, and then he realizes it, and it could cause him to be angry. And then we also have to remember that Devlin has, the chromosome deletion. He has autism, so those social and emotional regulation issues are going to come into play, especially when he's processing through this major trauma, as Cece said, with the adoption. Uh, Keys from the Crib says it's very important. It explains why he lashed out. And I agree with that, Keys. And, I don't think it's fair when I'm analyzing Sabrina's statement here, I don't think it's fair that she is painting this narrative of Devlin being someone who is quick to anger without genuinely validating what happened to Devlin. And I think that's the biggest thing that I took away from the interview, and why, I had it in my head. I couldn't sleep because, here she is saying, it was because he was adopted, but really I think it had a lot more to do with, you know, being molested, right? By someone who he was supposed to love and trust and who's supposed to, love him. Um, I know hell's gonna be packed, Sasha. That's the truth. Hell is packed. It's overflowing. It's hell on earth, because these cases are unfathomable. They need to take the whole lot of in and do the old fashioned interrogation. I agree, Detroit, and it does concern me greatly that Sabrina's alibi wasn't checked out by the detectives. Um, I'm very curious about it. Yeah, I understand where you're coming from, Sasha. It did leave me when I heard that, and again, I do have to consider the source of where it's coming from is Sabrina. Um, but yeah, in terms of them not checking their alibis, that is it's curious to me, where their mindset is. Um, I'm concerned about the same thing, Holly S. Holly S says, I'm concerned about other kids who were violated. I remember watching an old episode of Oprah where she had interviewed all of these, pedos or whatever. And the one guy said he did it 50 times before he was caught. 50, 50. I'll never forget that. Yeah, it's a small town. And, Detroit, I think, just with me talking about Devlin's case in the way that I have been, and then posting on TikTok and, that sort of thing, I think it's really lit a fire under people's asses in the area that they need to be going and checking these places, right? Not Brandon, he's been doing all of that. Not I'm not talking about the search and rescue team. They've been doing all of that. But I'm talking about these local people that are starting to go back and say, well, we need to talk with, everybody. Um, and it's only a matter of time until they figure it all out. They're new to this, and you know, they don't know much about it, right? Coming into it at the 8-month mark, just like I was coming into it at the 5-month mark. It was like trying to play catch up, right? And then also weeding out all of the bullshit. And when the family members are the ones feeding the bullshit, it's a major issue, you know. I would like the Tates to take them, Chuchi. I would love for Jessica to take a polygraph, especially after all the, lies that I've caught her in. Cece says the only thing you can get off a toilet seat may be hepatitis. Yeah, I mean, I've never heard of, anything. I know that, whenever I use the public toilets, I don't sit down all the way, if that makes sense. And then they have like the toilet guards and stuff like that. Um, so and me and you says, Lady Freedom, I have to email you. I forgot to tell you something. Oh, sure, me and you. I will check it too. And I know I haven't been in my email for a while, guys. It's been just basically gathering information. Just gathering all this information together. Um, yeah, he had to be so confused, Holly, and he just had to feel like he was, you know, really didn't have anybody to lean on, and that's one thing that I had to come to the realization of, through viewing all of the text messages, considering everything, um, you know, and I wanted at least one person to be the one, to have done right by him, but that's not the case. Did someone call the police or CPS when Devlin attacked the adopted mother? So, hey, Faye, good to see you. So, yeah, that was documented. That part was. So, um, and again, there were so many altercations, and I'm using, Sabrina's words, because when I asked her about the altercation, specifically about the recliner, she said there was so many altercations that she couldn't remember. She doesn't know which one I'm referring to. But she said, I think you're referring to the one about the recliner that doesn't exist, right? Um, so again, it's just really hard to pin down. Um, And Keys says, I don't think it was because he was adopted at all. He was failed by everyone around him and had no support. Yeah, and I think he would have done really great, Keys, um if he would have had just someone helping him, even just to get his own place. I think that would have helped out tremendously. Right? Because then nobody could hold anything over his head. He was responsible for himself. Um, so Detroit. I know, I know, I know, I know. I think they're Alcatraz ready for all these perps. I know. I wish they would, Sasha. I think they need to put them all together in the same place. I agree. Yeah, they throw too much on these kids. Yeah. And that's the thing, Holly, is, with Sabrina talking about how she was trying to teach Devlin how to cook and everything like that. I don't know what she could have possibly been cooking that takes 2 hours. Because most things that you're going to make for a 3-year-old is going to be, chicken nuggets, macaroni and cheese. Like, I mean, you might cook. I don't know if she's a gourmet or what, but I don't think she is. Um, and so I don't know what could have possibly taken 2 hours unless she was making food from scratch every single day for her 3-year-old, which I highly doubt that. Um, and then, Devlin wasn't allowed to eat around the house. As far as I know, it's been told to me that, he got minimal food, and then it seems to me that Devlin wasn't keeping food in the house because he was buying food out with his bridge card. Um, he says, I don't think that they checked the alibis because at first they probably thought he was just a runaway. I don't think he was. Yeah, and I strongly agree with that, Keys. I mean, because it just seems like that's where they were pointed, to that Devlin just ran away. And then, we have to remember too that he had court coming up. So I think that's another reason they were thinking, that he ran away. Sabrina said that there was 2 bench warrants on Devlin still to this day. Yeah, I don't know why she didn't check the check. I don't know why. Yeah, that is new. That is news to me. That she did not check on their alibi. And I think that's probably one of the main reasons why they were trying to, get the lie detector test, because Sabrina, let the cat out of the bag on that one. When I heard that, I was like, oh, that's a big one. Um, why was he allowed to be adopted by these people who have alleged RSO in the family? I don't know, Cinderella, if that was known at that time. I'm not sure if that was known at that time. I think the state was probably just trying to put him with a family member instead of um you know someone that's a non-family member. Yeah, gaslit, just like Sebastian. Exactly. The gaslighting is high in this case. Even the family members bouncing to person and saying this person's lying, and they're the ones that are liars. Um, Indigo says, how embarrassing for Devlin, his personal medical issues talked about, in my opinion. Yeah, you know, I think that from the beginning, Indigo, that has been something that has been talked about because it was put on the flyers. So any of the things that the Tait saw fit to talk about Devlin was put out there. And then Jessica sharing this information with me, I knew about it the first day I talked to her. And then other people were coming forward. And I think it's important for us to talk about it because it is a domino effect leading up to his disappearance. These people that we talk about in these cases, they don't have a perfect life. They don't have a good life, or they wouldn't be missing. That's just the sad reality of it. That's just how it works. I mean, you have a small percentage of people, for example, Elizabeth Smart. Her mother was making dinner. She had just lost her father. They were just going over for her father's funeral, and she burnt the potatoes. And so she opened the window and left the window open, and that's how the perpetrator was able to get into the house. They cut the screen, and then he slipped in through the window. That is a very, very small percentage of what we deal with in true crime. In true crime cases, most of the time it is somebody that the victim knew. It is somebody who had access to the victim and who the victim trusted. And over and over and over and over again, Devlin had to fight off predators of his own kind, of his own people, of his own family members. And I wouldn't be doing Devlin justice if I wasn't telling his story the way that it happened. Um, so that's where I'm coming from. Whether other people dislike it or they want the story told how they want to tell it, it's not how Devlin's story happened. So I'm going to make sure that I tell Devlin's story the way that it happened for Devlin, because that's important. So Faye, he was removed by the state. The Michigan State Police were involved when Devlin was removed from Sandra and Bill's care because of this because of the alleged abuse. What will Dean and Aisel think of her not checking alibis? Shit, it's 4 o'clock. I'll call in the morning. Yeah, Sasha, I appreciate it. I mean, anything that we can do to get the ball rolling on figuring this out, because, you know, we need to figure it out. There's no reason why everybody in that family shouldn't have been checked at least 3 times, you know, and that goes for any of them. I mean, you know, they need to check these people out. Yeah, I know. I don't understand that either. You would think there'd be protocol and procedures, Holly. Holly says, I watch interrogations and cop shows and I don't get why the cases we cover don't get handled the same. You know, I wondered that too. Um, because again, I do think when there's a missing person, um, or a missing child, Devlin's case is so unique because of his age and because of the judge granting his emancipation. So it puts it in a different category because I think they do think that, I mean, I think that they probably were leaning more towards that he ran away. And honestly, he would have every reason to run away. Yeah, and if we don't talk about it, then it's going to be hidden, and that's what they want. What's the first thing that a molester says to somebody? You better not tell anybody or I'm going to kill your blah 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 blah, right? You better not tell or it doesn't matter. They give you a million reasons, right? Um they want it kept in the dark. I agree with we won't mention it anymore. We know now. Yeah, and you know, I think all topics are okay here as long as, you know, we don't go too far with it. I truly hope they're not all in on this either, Holly. And you know, that doesn't it, it's not lost on me because I know that, you know, you got one parent that's all the way out in Arizona, but just the behavior is very odd, to say the least. I mean, I still think it's possible that he's out there, Sasha. I do. I really do. I think that there's a strong possibility that Devlin's out there, but I think that there's a strong possibility statistically that he could be, you know, not with us anymore. Um, you know, but I can't say unequivocally either way. In my opinion, they let Devlin run amok, and when he became an adult, he had no idea how to act, and he had no tools, allegedly. Yeah, I think so too, Cinderella. To a certain extent, they were absolutely letting him, you know, run the streets, you know, without any type of supervision. They're super sus. Lisa says to me, "Yeah, it is really, really, really sad." You know. Yeah, Holly, they were taunting him often, and you know, we even had someone in the chat yesterday share that there was, you know, a fire uh, cadet at the fire station who was bullying Devlin, and he ended up getting fired for it after the fact. So, I mean, I know that the police are looking into those options, otherwise that wouldn't have happened, you know? So, I hope he's found too soon, Indigo. I do. There was proof of entry with that case, though. Exactly, Paige. Exactly. And that's the rarity, right? Because those parents didn't have anything to do with their daughter's disappearance, right? I mean, it was a mistake to leave the window open, but that's, nobody should have to worry about that. That guy never should have been, cutting their window screen or anything. So, it's just, unfortunately, it's a small percentage. Yeah, I agree with that too, Holly. He was probably aggressive at times because he felt bad from his illness too. He was probably hungry and just felt like crap and didn't even realize it. Yeah, I think so too. And I think that he was pushed out of, a comfort zone of being, able to even hang out at his own house, because he had all of this extra stuff on him, right? Um, it was a struggle for him every day, and he's very street smart. He's very, very street smart. It could be a crime of opportunity. It could be. Yeah, Sasha, I can't rule that out. Um, Cece says that adopted children develop detachment issues if taken away from their mothers, but starts way before they get to that point, excuse me, of being taken. Babies whose needs are not met develop other behaviors. I agree with that too, Cece. And I think it's a lot to be said that, Jessica doesn't have her other children in her care, right? I think there's a lot to be said by that. And I know that I was told different stories um, as well. Like Jessica had told me something different than she had told someone else. And so, when that happens, I always have to take a step back and, find some understanding in that. And the conclusion that I've come to is that, Jessica's needs are always met before her children's needs. And that's unfortunate. Um, that's very unfortunate. And, advertising that you can't take care of your kids online is a really bad idea. Um, there's nothing good that can come of it, so, putting your child in that vulnerable position, so many things could happen. And then, um, also with Devlin's special needs, um, the only way you would be able to find that information out is if you were to get the proper diagnoses. And a lot of you parents out there that have children who are on the spectrum know how difficult that is, right? And that you really have to stay on top of it and recognize your child's behaviors and all of that. Yeah, we have to keep the hope, Sasha. We do. We do, even though we know statistically it's a grim reality. Hey, Joe, they develop other behaviors that and their needs aren't met. Right, exactly. Yeah, and kids seek out attention, so sometimes even if it's negative attention, they're going to seek it out. Children on the spectrum seek sensory input, whether it's negative or positive. It was put on the flyers, Holly. Yeah, by Sabrina and her friend. Um, on the posters, it was deliberately put on there wrong. Yeah, it's super concerning, Sasha. It is. It is. Um, it's very concerning. Yeah, they got to check them all, Chuchi, and I don't know why they have not gone to the lengths that maybe they should have. And maybe there's a good reason for it. That's one thing I'm open to. If anyone is interested, it's the NARM effect, adapting different behaviors to compensate for what they need, their needs, when their needs are not met. Thank you, Cece. Yeah. And human beings need certain things to grow and develop, right? And if those things are not being done, then that's a problem, right? Cece says a mother's smell, voice, and they developed other behaviors to compensate for that loss. Yeah, and I don't know how involved Jessica actually was. I've heard different stories from her. I've heard different stories from Tamara. I've yet to hear from Tim Hatfield, who did sign the birth certificate. Yeah, it is sad. Hey, Crazy Bird, this is sad. This is a sad case, and my gut says a family member sent him to heaven. Yeah, I'm wondering the same thing. I just think they're evil intent. The guys found so many bones while they were out scouting, all animal, but they brought them to camp to make sure. The woods are deep and dark and scary. If he's out there, I pray he's safe. Thank you, Detroit. And thank you so much for having those guys out there looking, even though they're hunting and everything. That really means a lot to us here. And I can't speak on behalf of his family. I will not do that. But from the bottom of my heart, I appreciate everything that everyone is doing to find Devlin, um, because his family just simply is not. And I've worked with them for a couple of months. When I say worked with them, I've taken a lot of their abuse and their shit for a couple of months, and sifted through it, and that's the conclusion I came to from my experience, and I think it's only a matter of time until others do that as well. But I'm moving forward with what I know about the case, which is far more than anybody else knows at this juncture, unless they're a local. And I do know a couple people, like I had Brandon on today, but there's more people um, that, are helping me understand too. So, who did that putting it on the flyers? If it's was caused him to disappear, I can understand that. They put all of it on there, Indigo. So they put that Devlin has cerebral palsy, Tourette's, ADHD, autism, uh, a chromosome deletion, and fetal alcohol syndrome were the slew of ailments and illnesses and diseases, right? So, yeah, just like Sebastian, he's always had his mom's back. Yeah, and just the way that we saw Sebastian with his mom, just the way that we saw him attentive to Katie, is a stark difference between a boy that, would be sent away to a behavioral school, Very true, Holly. Sebastian was a good boy, nothing like Chris and Katie made him out to be. And, that is a big part of Devlin's case because, um, there's been a lot of victim blaming in Devlin's case as well. The blame Devlin theory. Keys says, I thought Jessica just got back into Devlin's life a year ago. Yeah, so she contacted him, to the best of my knowledge. According to her, when Devlin turned 18, she reached out to him and and spoke with him, and tried to get, together on the same page as him in terms of building a relationship. But with all of Jessica's issues, it was more of, in my opinion, and from what the text messages that I've read, um, was more of like a friend type relationship, right? Which is difficult when, you have an older child and you're trying to bond with them. So it's a different dynamic altogether. However, you always remember who the parent is. In that situation, that was not happening, in my opinion. Thank you, Detroit. Our guys scouted for miles on foot, a lot of dense woods and brush. They probably covered 5 to 6 miles every time they go out. Wow, Detroit, that is amazing. Yeah, and with this snow, it has been really, really rough, you know? We don't know if, got a birth or who, uh, it's from another man. This is the first case I've ever heard that someone's virus on a flyer. Yeah, they put all of those things on the flyer, Indigo, every single one of them, and that was one thing that, it was a big red flag for me because there was way too many things for Devlin to be, dealing with at once, in my opinion. Faye says from Devlin's text to Jessica, he was pointing Tamara and Matthew allegedly. Yeah, he was. He was Faye. He was he was pointing a lot to Tamara too. I know what you're talking about in terms of the bullying from Tamara. Like he was mentioning it a lot, even in his Facebook posts. He wasn't mentioning the other bullies around. Not that I had ever seen him post anything about that. It was always about his family bullying him. So I found that to be very interesting. Yes, Holly, their brains get wired wrong, in my opinion, when they don't have the attachment to their mother early on, almost like a feral dog or cat. Yeah, I mean, it is, it's psychologically damaging for, I mean, no doubt about it. And without me being a doctor, um, you can tell when someone's needs aren't met, even with an animal. I agree. Holly says I foster rescue ferals, and I do mean feral dogs and cats, and it's fascinating. I had one. He was like having a coyote in the house. Holly, I can believe that. Uh yeah, well, humans are the same in the way that if you never teach them anything or you never try to help them through, um, it reminds me of back when people would institutionalize people for having, different abilities, and they would just put them in an institution and not even try to help them or work with them and give them the extra time and patience that it takes for them to learn things, that they can absolutely learn, but they just need a little extra help with it. But, if no one even tries to help them, then that's when we're going to see this, major disconnect here. Yeah, they develop other behaviors to squash down their unmet needs. Yeah, and I absolutely believe that Devlin was failed on many, many levels. Um, you know, that's so disgusting. There are privacy issues. They're crossing the line. How by putting them on the flyer is going to find this young man. Well, and I know that the flyer was a dig, um, to Jessica, specifically. And again, I will always, say my opinions, and what I think is, what I can make of the situation. And from what I can make of it, that's what they were doing, Cinderella. They wanted to put that on there so that way everybody would point their finger at Jessica. But Jessica's really good at having people point their finger at her too, or she points her finger at other people too, you know. Um, so I think a lot of it had to do with disparaging his bio mom, Indigo, which I mean she does that well enough on her own. It sounds like them putting it on the flyers is like CP trying to character assassinate Sebastian. Yeah, and I agree with that, Holly. I have a very strong feeling towards that very thing that you're saying here with a character assassination. I do believe that, and Devlin was getting very, very he was getting keen to what they were doing, right? So he was posting things like, I don't mind helping people, right? I'm not a bad person. I like helping people, but not when they boss me, not when they're, ordering me around, to put it in his words, you know. I don't know. I don't know. No, they did not put the HPV stuff on the flyer. No, Joe, they did not. They did not do that. But they put all of the other things like cerebral palsy. I mean, it was just a laundry list of hodgepodge diagnoses that don't have anything to do with each other. Like there are instances where we see comorbidities, right, existing in medical diagnosis, but we don't see them to this magnitude. Um, it's they don't even realize that they're making themselves come off as just silly, right? Um, I don't blame Devlin for being pissed. Me neither, Holly. I would be so mad if I had to endure what Devlin has had to endure. So, um, see, and Crazy Bird, I know, um, the thing is that, um, so only medical professionals, no matter what a YouTuber tells you. I mean, oh my gosh, this is terrible. I had somebody do this with me the other night where they said that, Dairy Queen would be held to HIPAA. And I'm like, no, they're not. And I laughed and I was like, no. Okay, so no one besides the medical professionals are bound by HIPAA. So if Sabrina put these different ailments or diseases or diagnoses, whatever we want to call it, conditions on the flyer, she's not held to HIPAA. It's not a HIPAA violation. The only people that are held to HIPAA are medical professionals. So an example would be Crazy Bird. If you brought me to the hospital, right, and I was in really bad shape, and you went and asked the nurse, what's going on with me, that would be a HIPAA violation for the nurse to give you information about me, medical information about me. Even though you're my bestie and you brought me to the hospital and you care so much and you just want to find out so you can update family and friends and blah blah blah. Um, no one else, no matter what Chris Proudfoot tells you, no matter what you hear on the internet, if you go and look up HIPAA and it's HIPAA, um, you will see that it's something that the medical professionals are held to, not normal people. So, telling somebody's medications is not a HIPAA violation if you're not a medical professional in a hospital, in other words. Yeah, it would have been super bizarre. Yeah, no, no. They put everything else on there. No, they're not going to say that because they didn't want that out, Joe. They wanted everybody to think that Devlin lived with Sandra and Bill his whole life. They wanted people to think that, Devlin was adopted by Sandra and Bill and he lived happily ever after, and that was not the case. I know the weather really came fast. Detroit says too bad everything froze over so quick. Everyone had winterized their boats because of the weather. I know. I know. That's something that we ran into as well. Um, you know, Joe says who the hell would put a oh, who would put that? I mean, I wouldn't put it past them if it was something that, they wanted to blame on Jessica. Hurry HIPAA. No matter what he tells you. Yeah, I mean, I understand putting autism on there. And I get that they were trying to make it so people would look for Devlin, that was to the best of my knowledge, that was why they thought that that would be a good idea. You know. but it backfired, really, really badly. And, the fact that, you know, Sabrina is willing to admit to a lot of these things that she's done, um, says a lot to me too. Yeah. Well, HIPAA yeah, and a nursing home is the same thing. Yeah, it's the same thing, Crazy Bird, in a nursing home. Yeah. Yeah. Um, that's in a medical environment where you have people's personal medical history and stuff like that. Um, let there be HIPAA. Hey, KJ Mac. Yeah, so it only pertains to medicals, not the general public. Dairy Queen, um, unless there's like laws in a specific place or whatever, that they're not allowed to disclose. But when I sent the flyer of Devlin to Greenville, I sent it to the manager, and you know, I'm sure they would have called, and he would have been found by now if that was the case, if he was in Greenville. Um, I agree with that, Gail. I believe the abuse is generational, and that was done to Devlin and possibly others, and why Matt has issues, in my opinion. And I agree with that. I think it's very very apparent because of the way that it's normalized and minimized and generalized, right? Like, oh, yeah, he was this or that, but they were looking into my grandpa for sexual abuse, but then nothing ever happened from it, right? um I mean, that's many of the stories that we hear about people who have been sexually abused. I mean, it's very prevalent. It's the norm. It's not the exception. Yeah, I mean, I think that Devlin can't possibly, because I agree with you, Crazy Bird, and I just don't think that he could quite possibly have all of that. And, I've never received any proof of that. So, um, you know, maybe we can put some pressure on the family to produce that to someone else and give it to them, and I'll take a screenshot and show you guys. So that's where I'm at with that. But I'm not gonna pretend that I don't know what I already know. I'm not good at that, right? It's just I'm too blunt of a person. I'm too straightforward of a person, and I don't play games, right? I'm very straightforward. Um, so that has been difficult. Um, because once I was, on to, what was going on with Devlin's situation, um, you know, I can't go back and, oh yeah, I'll be hunky dory with these people. No, no, mm-mm, no, I'm not Devlin, and he deserved better. And they took him for granted. They took his kindness as a weakness. They took his care as, something that they took advantage of. And they do that with everyone in their life. So why would they not do that to Devlin? And that's just one thing that I hope that he didn't take too personally. And I hope that he recognized that, as street smart as he is. Um, I hope that he recognized that. And I think that he did in a small way, because he wouldn't be, writing on his Facebook page the things that he was, sticking up for himself in the way that he was. Like, even though you guys tell me every day how much of a piece of crap I am, I don't believe you. And I'm actually a good person who does like helping people. right? You guys are the jerks. And I love that. I really do, because that helps me believe that Devlin didn't believe the shit that he was being told by Jessica or by Tamra or by Sabrina or by Matt. He didn't believe it. Thank God. That's the only saving grace that I have for you guys, is that he didn't believe what they were telling him, thank God. And I'm full of piss and vinegar too, KJ. I'm right there with you. I thought they did put that on there, this group. I wouldn't be shocked. Me neither, Holly. I really wouldn't be. If it was something that came from somebody else, they would have done that. They never take accountability. Even when Sabrina took accountability for the reward money, she still didn't take accountability fully for it. She said, I didn't think anybody would be really that mad at me for taking the money for fixing my truck because I was looking for Devlin. You know, they put him on the slope, which meant he would never had a bed there, that it was for him in the furniture and nothing stable or permanent. Well, put him on the floor. Thank you, KJ Mac. Yeah, and the thing is that most recently Sabrina's been blaming that on his hygiene, right? We made him sleep on the floor because of his hygiene, right? So Holly says I worked as an RN for years, and Chris Proudfoot even had me confused. Oh my gosh. Well, the biggest thing that I was confused with too, Holly, was that I was like, okay, but his mom's sitting right next to you. You know what I mean? Like, if your mom is sitting right next, if Sebastian's mom is sitting right next to him, then it's not a HIPAA violation, but then also because they're not medical professionals, so they're not bound by HIPAA, which is hilarious. No, and I'm the same. I was the same way when I heard that. I was like, wait, what? Just because I went to nursing school, so I understand HIPAA fully. But yeah, yeah, and they might have changed it exactly, Holly. You never know, but they didn't. No, and then I had to laugh because I mean of Sebastian's case and because of everything with that. Um, yeah, we know, and somebody knows something, Sasha, and I don't think we're far away. Hey, Gina H, good to see you. Thank you for being here. The ignorance is overwhelming. It is. It's overwhelming. The lies are overwhelming. The pointing the finger at other people is overwhelming. Instead of just saying it is how it is. Um that's right. He wouldn't have to that was all, in order for him to act like he knew something, that he was smarter than the people he was talking to, or the viewers. Gina H, thank you so much for gifting 5 Lady Freedoms Raw Narratives memberships. If you got a membership from Gina H, please say thank you and welcome to the Dragon Tribe. Aw, that's so great. Thanks, Gina. Wow. And Gail says, I really think he was smarter than the whole bunch. Look at how well he could articulate on Facebook and text messages, in my opinion. Yes, Gail. And, he was very good at being respectful to people and venting on the side. And I think that someone who has trouble with social and emotional dysregulation, that's actually, something that he really kind of conquered, right? Um, because he could articulate himself and he could explain himself, which he never should have had to, you know. Yeah, I've seen it in my family with more minor issues. Yeah. Aw. Thanks, Holly, for thanking Gina. They need to go back to the water near the trailer park. Someone could have pushed him into the water and he got caught up in the current or the undertow. Yeah, I mean, I still do think about the water, Detroit, and that's one focus for me is the water. Which that's why I thought that was interesting that Brandon said, no, I don't think so about the water. But That's why I welcome all opinions, right? Because there may be something that Brandon knows, that I didn't know before, or that I overlooked or forgot about. And then I'm like, oh, yeah, I did hear something like that, right? I do remember someone mentioning that. Um, so it's really, really important. Yeah, it sounds like we're trying to get people not to look for him. Here we go again. And that's the thing too, Holly, is that I think something like that is definitely going on just from talking to other people. Hey TJ. So just from talking to other people, I've heard that. Um, you have a ton of patience with this family, I think, more than the police. I know, Holly, or the PI. Or the PI. I mean, they're kind of outy, right? They're like, we don't want to deal with this. But at this juncture, Holly, I really feel like I have enough information to kind of form an educated opinion about the patterns that were going on with Devlin and the family. And I'd like to explore that more. And then, like I said, whoever they choose to give information to, and the more that I can gather, the better we can, paint the picture, so to speak. But I think this was a huge piece that we really needed to understand, right? Because there was so much back and forth, and to have someone who was there at the time is important. It's important for Devlin to get the story out. Um, so um, that's my main goal. And like I said, moving forward, it'll be interesting hearing what other people come out and say that have been told to them, right? Because they're telling one person one thing and then they're telling another person another thing. And again, we see these patterns and we're able to establish these patterns. So I'm very interested to see what will come out, but I'm also interested in just to keep moving forward and staying the course on what I've been working on. Um, because again, I think that I was getting very close, and I think in asking Jessica to go back through her text messages and show me, her proof of the abuse that was going on at the by the Tates, excuse me, um, caused her to look at her text messages and understand that she was also, doing things to Devlin to manipulate him, to psychologically abuse him, to mentally abuse him, and verbally abuse him. And there's no mistaking that when Devlin loses his family member Bill, and I do know that I understand what we're talking about is very confusing. But for Devlin, he loved Bill. And when he lost Bill, he had a hard time with it. And for his mother to lie to him about having cancer, or tell his abusers, rather, that she has cancer so that they can turn around and use it against him, is absolutely vomitocious, right? Like barf bag engaged, right? And then you want to feel sorry for yourself and grift on a Christmas for AJ and add all kinds of different things to the list that never should have been added. And I also just want to thank everyone for, caring so much for someone, even though they weren't the most likable person, right? Because, helping a person out isn't always because you like them, it's because you see the need and you see that, someone else needs a hand. And I just want to say how grateful I am to my community here, and just the way that you all are, the way your hearts are. um you can't learn that, you can't teach that. That is something that is god given, in my opinion. And when you have that level of compassion and care and people want to take advantage of it, it says far more about those people than it does about you. And that's the realization that I had to come to, dealing with this. And the good thing is that I'm weeding out bad people and I'm bringing in some good people, or keeping the good people that I've had kind of in my circle that have been discussing the case with me, um, you know, that don't have any ulterior motives than to find Devlin. Those are the people that I'm looking for, to help me out, because I can't do it alone. I'm not Jessica Lansbury. I'm not, freaking Matlock. Um, I'm not a detective, but I have a brain. I could use deductive reasoning. I can see patterns and identify them. And that's what I'm doing. Um, so we're just gonna keep trucking along. Um, you love what you know regardless. It's the yeah, exactly, KJ Mac. It's the pliability of a human brain and attachment it creates even when it's not good for you. I agree with that 1,000,000%. 1,000,000%. And when people are deliberately messing with your brain, it does cause confusion and, disjointed thinking, and it is highly toxic. And the people who are doing it absolutely know what they're doing, and they get off on it. They get a sick enjoyment off of it. And so, I always it always makes me really sick when I identify those people. um we learn over time to deprogram, and I think that's a big thing too, KJ, that Devlin was doing, right, is kind of deprogramming himself, um you know from the way that they were wanting him to think. And again, I just want to say, when I asked several people if Devlin had ever talked about his mother having cancer, everyone said no. But we know for a fact that Devlin was told that his mother has cancer, right? So he didn't believe her. He knew she was bullshitting, right? Because he wasn't going around asking for prayers. He wasn't going around asking people to, you know, um, for a sympathy. Hey, my mom's sick with cancer. Oh my God, I'm so upset that my mom, he wasn't venting to anybody. He wasn't confiding in anybody about it, right? Because he knew it wasn't true. And that to me is also very, very sad, um, that Devlin dealt with that. Aw, thank you, Sasha. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, and I'm just trying to decipher all of it too, because it's a lot. It's a lot. And like I said, in the beginning, and as Brandon was saying in the panel, we were threatened. He was threatened, I was threatened, everybody was threatened, and then behind the scenes, Tamara's telling on herself, right? Which is questionable, to say the least, right? Because if it's not true, it's not true. Why are you worried about it? You know? So KJ says, "Oh wow, so his closet people weren't given the info, his intuition 100% intact." Yeah, his closest people, excuse me. Sorry, so I read that wrong. Yeah, so yeah, everyone that I've asked about it has said that they didn't know anything about it. that Devlin never expressed that to them, never said he was worried, never anything. Because, I was very concerned about Devlin's response to that because of Bill, you know. So that's a major issue. Yeah, I don't see it taking very long at all, Sasha. And the thing is that once these things can be brought to law enforcement's attention, because I do believe that there's been so much leakage, and we all know about leakage because of our friend Chris McDonough. But the leakage in this case has been all over the internet, and I don't think that the police are looking in the right spots for that. And I think if they can hear some of the things or see some of the things that have been going on, it might change their view on who they're looking at and what needs to be investigated further. So he deserves justice. He deserves justice, Sasha, more than anybody I've seen. It just really, it's really, really sad to me that that people aren't more willing to come forward. So, again, I do have to applaud Brandon for doing that. Um, Thank you, KJ Max. She says, great questions you've asked. They seem simple and not related, but that for reveals a lot about what he would choose to repeat to others. Very interesting. Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, that's kind of why I was asking around about it, because Jessica was so adamant that I do have it. It's on and off. It's, this, it's that. It's no, it's not. That's not how cancer works. Google it, y'all, and yeah, you'll understand when you Google it that cancer is not like that. And if you had cancer and were battling it in and out of the hospital in January of 2025, then by this time of the year, it would almost be a year that you would be going through treatments, chemo, radiation, whatever it is, right? So she wasn't fooling Devlin, you know, she's not fooling any of us. It's just sad that she would manipulate her son that way. So, that's not true, Amy. I would like to see some kind of proof that you have of that, because cancer does not just go into remission without any type of treatment, right? So it's absolutely cruel. It's absolutely cruel. I do, Amy. I can get you the video. Hold on. I'm not going to show it here because my viewers have already seen it. So, but hold, please, and I will get it for you. All right, here. No worries, Amy. That's the video right there. If you want to see the text messages that Jessica sent to Tamra, just keep in mind that one person's going to be in one color and the other person's going to be in the other color. So you might have to decipher that. I don't know if it's actually if it's labeled on there or not. Let me take a look. And also, thank you for being here. Um, Yeah, so it does. So Tamara's gonna be in green. I'll just put it. I'll put that way. Um. Uh. And then if you guys want to look back at it, because I don't know if you guys had a chance to look, I usually will put those videos up and then we'll do a live on it. Love you too, Detroit, and thank you for everything that you've done for Devlin. Thank you a million times over. Well, Amy, the problem that I have with this personally is that I was a caregiver for my mother who found out that she had cancer, um, stage 4 metastatic lung cancer, right? Adenocarcinoma. And so I'm very familiar with the terminology. I'm very familiar with the treatment plans. As a matter of fact, um, my best friend's granddaughter, who's 2 years old, she has no hair at all. She's been battling leukemia for the last year. She's had to have bone marrow transplants. Um, a good friend of ours here, another YouTuber, Mr. and Mrs. E's Crimecast, um, their son is battling leukemia, and it's not something that just comes and goes. Unfortunately, I wish it was. So thanks, Amy. Yeah, I appreciate you being here. I have a lot of videos of the evidence that I've collected, and I'll be putting more out. Um, there's also a 3-hour interview if you're into that with Sabrina. So, um, but yeah, it's all in there. And those were sent to me by Tamra, and she wanted me to see that. Um, and then you can see the correspondence between Jessica and myself in there as well. So, and I just asked her, do you have leukemia? And she completely lost it. So, but yeah, so, um, guys, I'm going to probably hop off here because I have a lot of other stuff I need to get to today. I might do a live tonight on the late night. I've been trying to work in a couple of shows a day. Yeah, thanks, Amy. Yeah, and I did post them on TikTok as well. I believe I posted that one on TikTok too. I've been trying to do both, but I haven't had a chance to really get my TikTok up to par. Because I still want to put out shorts of the conversation with Sabrina. Um, but I noticed that whenever Piper had interviewed her, there was, some similarities, some discrepancies. So I'll be working on that as well. Um, but Well, I love you guys all so very, very much. Thank you so much for being here and listening. I know that today was a very sore subject, a tough subject, but I do like to keep all of the topics on the table, especially when we're dealing with the true crime cases, because, again, we deal with these people, kids, in my opinion, Devlin's a kid, who have really gone through the ringer, have been abused terribly, and then all of a sudden, poof, they vanish. Um, I'm not buying it. I will always beat the drum until I find the truth, right? And I'll always put the pressure on until people tell the truth. Because the truth is not being told here. As a matter of fact, it's just two sides of the family blaming each other and never wanting to take responsibility for anything, unfortunately. Um, Thank you, Holly. Aw, thank you so much. Thanks, KJ Mac. Yeah, and Sebastian too. And there's a lot too that I'm working on for Sebastian as well because I have to get the time to get all of Mob Crew's videos in what he's been posting lately and just kind of, getting caught up on that too. So we're definitely going to keep on moving forward. So, yeah. Yeah. I mean, the good thing, Sasha, for and always praying for middle E, because I know that there was another prayer request. I shared it. Um, but yeah, I mean, Aaliyah, and this is a hard thing for me to talk about, guys, even harder than my mom because this is a 2-year-old. Um, Aaliyah went into remission, but she still hasn't gotten all of her hair back. I mean, little by little. Um, and no, it doesn't work that way. Um, as I said before, even when her rounds of chemo were over with, she was having to be brought back and forth to the hospital. They've actually given them a room on a quarantine. When you have leukemia, your immune system is so incredibly low that you can get sick from anything and anybody. And they actually put a plastic bubble around her stroller to bring her in and out of the hospital. So if Jessica had that set of circumstances, she would not be special. It would be the same as anybody else. She would be searching desperately for someone to give her a bone marrow transplant. So no. No, 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 and no. It's so sad, Cinderella. It is the worst thing ever. And to see my best friend like that, to have his little granddaughter who he adores and who adores him go through that, there's no excuse. And to think of what Devlin had to watch Bill go through, and then his mother saying, "I have cancer." I mean, there's no excuse, you know? So, no, Amy, I'm just a YouTuber who enjoys true crime. But I also have worked with kids on the spectrum, people with special needs. And so I do have a soft spot for people who are special needs. I like to call them, they have different abilities. I don't like to call them disabled. I think they're just differently abled. So that's a big thing that I do here. Also, domestic violence is a thing that I'd say that I advocate for. Um, I advocate for victims. I'm here to tell their story. I'm not, interested in, feeling sorry for anybody that's not missing. If you're, alive and well and fine and air in your lungs, Um, although I have worked with a lot of family members and I've never seen anything like this in my life with the family members in Devlin's family. I've just never dealt with anything like this. Most people are grateful to have the exposure, the coverage. Um, so this is kind of foreign to me. Um, yes, absolutely, Sasha. My mind's on Devlin. Devlin, if you're out there, we are trying to find you and want you to be safe. Okay, so we are not trying to give all of your information, but we're outing these people. Thank you, Sasha, for saying that. Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself, Sasha. And again, I want Devlin to know too, like you're not in trouble. We just want to make sure you're safe. If you ran away, you're not in trouble because you're an adult. You can do that. I think that's really important, Sasha. So thank you. We've had our share of cancer fakers on YouTube, reprehensible. I know, KJ, and I don't know whatever possessed somebody to take that. Like I would not want to put that in the universe. That's just me, you know. I don't get it, Cinderella. I don't. Yeah, absolutely, Amy. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you being here, and thank you for chatting. Thank you, Gail. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thanks, Faye. Thank you so much. YouTube has been sadly full of creators who have fake cancer for attention and absolutely awful when truly people are truly suffering. Yeah, I know. And I don't, I just, oh my gosh, that word scares me. So I'm like, you know, yeah, and just everything that goes along with it, the testing, the this, the that, it's just so much that there's just no way that it wasn't mentioned, you know? So, but thank you guys so much again, and I will see you all. We might do a late show tonight. I'm not sure, but we're definitely going to continue on tomorrow. I'll probably do like a double um show. So that's what I'm trying to shoot for. But just look out for your notifications. And again, keep your eyes open for Devlin. Please say prayers for him. Please say prayers for his family that they will come clean with the clarity and they will grow a conscience. Um, and that's all I can say for them. Also, Sebastian Strong, definitely keep saying our prayers for Sebastian and his father Seth and for his family. Again, clarity is what we need, truth is what we need. So thank you guys all again. Have a great rest of your day.